This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it is The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Dogface. Hello.
Hello.
Otherwise known as Matthew Jaden. Which would you prefer for the interview?
Dogface is fine.
Dogface, good? Well, as we were just talking about before, you've listened to a few of these shows before, so you know how the deal goes. We like kicking it off with a song. So what have you got for us?
All right. This one's called Small Fry. We'll start right there. Put me out by the side of the road with a sign that says for sale. I'm a chair that always had one leg too short. Although you were thankful for a place to sit and rest, you were always weary of the support backing up the comfort. So I'm thrown into a trash compactor. If I'm lucky, I'm some hoarder's brand new treasure. But hopefully I'll sit out here so long and sun rot that I won't be usable. I'm the leaking shower head in the bathroom of your apartment. And even when it's hard to sleep through my dripping into your tub, you're thankful for the warmth that I bring each morning. You're thankful that at least your water is running. Maybe you'll call up maintenance one of these days. Maybe you'll move out, just leaving me that way. But hopefully the calcium buildup gets so big I'll be replaced. Hopefully I'll finally be replaced.
Small Fry there by Dogface. That's a great song, by the way.
Thanks.
Great one to kick us off with. Tell me a little bit about this new project of yours.
New project, yeah. I just moved up here about a year ago. And I want to make a rock and roll band, you know? So I met up with some people who, good folk, Luke across the hallway, Danny, Molly, all these cats who play, and yeah, they really got me pumped on doing this and trying to find folk to play in a band. So if you want to play for Dogface, hit me up. We're going to make it massive. I want a whole orchestra behind me. So.
That would sound amazing with the full orchestra. I can just imagine when the strings are going to be coming in. Maybe some horns at the end.
Yeah, I need a maestro too. I need someone who can conduct.
So you're saying Danny and Molly, Danny from Danny the Parts, of course.
Yeah.
And you're a drummer for him, right?
Yep, mostly drummer. That's what I can, I can fake this stuff, and I like to write songs and sing, but mostly drums.
So you said you came up about a year ago. Very interesting time to come to a small city in a rural state. Must have been a little bit isolating for you.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
So where do you come from?
Panhandle, Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, right there, southern Alabama, Pensacola, Panama City, that type of area.
I've only ever met great people from that area of the world.
It's a great spot. I was just talking to Bob earlier. It gets a bad rep down there, but Panhandle's good folk.
It produces fantastic people, at least, or at least the ones that move out of there are pretty fantastic. At least.
Yeah, maybe if you stay there for too long, but who knows?
So yeah, you've put out a self-titled EP.
Yes.
I was giving that a listen. Yeah, it very much makes sense that you're from the South. There's that kind of southern gravel to your voice, very driving. It's kind of purposeful and it's chaos. It's great. I've got very much clap your hands and say yeah vibes.
Oh yeah, I love them. Yeah, haven't listened to them in years.
I just as you were playing that, then I was like, what is this song that's reminding me of? I had to Google it real quick. So tell me a little bit about the production of this EP. Was you create this year?
Yeah, it was this year, just a few months back now, actually. Luke, right across the hall, was the one who recorded all of it after I met them, and I said, hey, I got this project I'm working on, and I want to record just a rough demo that I can get out into the world, and we nailed it down in about 2-3 days, I think, and yeah, it was all just me. I just sat in there and played everything and, tried to do the best I could on guitar and bass and whatnot.
So as I was saying, it sounds a little purposely messy.
Yeah.
And I really like that sound. Really like that kind of that attitude and vibe.
Yeah.
When recording something like that, is it a sense of kind of just throwing it at the wall and just taking what lands, or are you kind of quite particular about the sound that you're creating?
Oh no, not at all. I kept telling Luke I wanted to do everything in one take, so I think we did 2 takes on a few tracks, but for the most part, I spent a lot of time in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and there was a great punk scene there, and we would just record, full band all the time. You guys get 15 minutes because that's how long our little cassette tape is, and we're going to do it right now. So rip it real fast. Let's get it done. That's the whole attitude.
I love it. I mean, in a punk band, that means a full album, 15 minutes. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully. If you're doing it right, yeah. I don't want to listen to punk for more than 15 minutes.
Defeats the entire purpose otherwise. Is there any particular kind of theme that you see through this EP? Is there any kind of message that you were constantly coming back to?
Yeah, there is a little bit of story behind it. It's about moving back from Mississippi to Florida before I moved up here. And yeah, the first song's about long drives back from Mississippi to Florida, and then it's, I wrote this little interlude, and that's supposed to sound like, what was the station? 88.1, and they would play jazz every evening, and it was supposed to be, that was the drive I would make most nights when I would come back, and it was supposed to be the smooth jazz you were hearing on the radio, and then yeah, the transition up here and everything. And the songs aren't about too much though. I mean, one of them was, I wrote the latter half of the song about sitting with my roommates and watching all of the seasons of Gilmore Girls. That was what influenced it. So
I mean, COVID. I mean, I think that's probably one of the more honest COVID songs, if we're honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't like that. Yeah, I did notice you went to sneak one in about Winooski and it being similar to your hometown.
Yeah, I love Winooski though. I love Winooski. I think it's a great town. I love that place.
It's the most densely populated town in all of Vermont.
Oh, really?
It is indeed.
That
so
doesn't surprise me.
I think
really,
it's also the most diverse.
I am not surprised by that either. I have said that on multiple occasions already.
I mean, it's a pretty low bar for Vermont, if we're honest.
Oh, yeah.
But big fan of Winooski as well. And is this project vastly different to some of the other bands and stuff you played in previously?
Most definitely, yeah. I had a folk punk type project like this called the Pistachios back in Florida, and this was when I was like 15, 16, just writing songs and shouting and being upset. And it's kind of similar, but I just can't sing as high as I used to. So I can't do the cool gravelly screams anymore or anything.
Fry the vocal cords until that one's out at this point.
Yeah. But besides that, yeah, just a lot of fast rock is what I played in Mississippi. And now getting up here, I found a jazz quartet and drumming for Danny and doing country stuff. And I'll play anything, though. I love music. I think it's all good.
What slowed you down? Was it the kind of weather, the isolation, or is it you getting older and this is what happens?
I think it's really getting older because, all of my friends back in Florida, and I got involved real young. I was like, as soon as I got into high school, immediately just in the rock and roll bands, and I would go out and play shows. And so, like, we did just wild kid stuff. And now that I'm a bit older, I'm just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to slow it down a little bit. I want to live for a good while.
Don't want to burn out at the age of 28.
Exactly.
Well, I'd love to hear another track. So, yeah, what have you got for us?
Okay, yeah, we'll do that song that's about Winooski, actually. This one's called Long Walk to Winooski. I spent a long time up here without a car, so I was just walking around everywhere, and it was real great. I loved it. I just want to sit in the living room with my friends and watch LD yell at strangers, load another one, grab yourself a beer. And there are Moxie Colas in the fridge if that's more of your speed. Yeah, there are Moxie Colas in the fridge if that's more of your speed. Now, and I'm starting to notice that everything is exactly the same as my hometown. There's drunks on the stoop. I'm thinking of all of you. Oh. But it all starts to fade eventually. Well, it's the 10th of July, and I can't believe we're dying.
All right, Dogface there with
Long Walk to Winooski.
Long Walk to Winooski. I was going to say Slow Walk to Winooski. I'm sure
either one, yeah. I walk slow.
either works. I really want to talk just a quick second about all the stickers we see on your guitar because I feel like every one of them's probably got some kind of story.
Little bit, yeah. These two right up or these three all right up here. That was I used to just take pictures with, disposable cameras and print them out, and I would make comics sometimes. That's Jared Newsom, one of my best friends down in the South. He's still down there. He actually is planning on moving up here. We're bringing Florida up to
this is how you
Vermont.
make your band. You just ship good musicians up here.
This guy right here, that's John Clark. He's actually listening right now. He's over in Winooski, one of my roommates. Good friend from Florida, though.
Nice.
He's up here.
Shout out to John.
That's my Volkswagen Beetle, or Westphalia camper I used to own. And then the rest of them are, that's Ghost Mice, Jerry Fells and the Jerry Fells. Sludge Boss, one of my other roommates, artist around here, I used to date a girl who worked at Intimate Treasures. So it's like
La-di-da.
it's a cool sticker, you know. She slapped it on me. No, it's I've had this guitar since I was like 12, I think.
Oh, wow.
So
not just the stickers, it's probably got a lot of stories just in and of itself.
It's seen everything. Has some words carved in back there. What is that? I may not love the things you do, but I'll always love you. That was my ma.
Oh, that was your mom?
Yeah.
I was going to say that's definitely an ex-girlfriend, right?
No. Every time I would get in trouble, she'd look at me and give that line. And I'd be like, oh, gosh. Oh, you make me feel so
Did
bad.
she scratch it into the back of your guitar, or did you?
I'm sure that had to be some drunken night. That some friend did it, or I did it.
You've done something questionable. You just need a quick reminder to yourself.
Yeah.
Your mum will still love you.
What would mom say about this? Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that you managed to bring so many other Floridians up to the cold wastelands of Vermont.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't me. It was all Ryan. He was the first Voyager up here. But then I did a few tours with some punk bands down in Mississippi, and we visited up around this area. And then friends, we just came up here to visit friends up here, and definitely one of the most beautiful states I've ever been in. So when they said they needed a roommate and I had money and needed a change, I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll come up here.
So this is kind of an impromptu decision. You're like,
yeah,
mates are up here. I kind of like the place. Let's go for it.
Very much so, yeah.
And, I mean, this has been, as we said, like a year, unlike any other. Vermont, I'm sure like everywhere else in the country, it's not really been the same as it usually is. I do feel that this state's slightly better in a sense because there's just so much outdoors and you can do so much. But yeah, how's that year been for you? I mean, creatively speaking.
Creatively, I constantly have writer's block all the time. So I feel like the year didn't help too much. But I got some good stuff out of just being isolated and having to sit at the house and throw John his guitar and say, hey, you play this song with me, or are you ready to listen to this song for the 9th time and tell me what I can do better and whatnot? And he's always there to tell me, do better. Okay, yep.
He's never approved yet.
Sometimes he approves.
Okay.
He likes the demo. He thinks it's good. So
I mean, that must be pretty awesome. Living in a house with a fellow musician. It sounds like you bounce stuff off him. Does he bounce stuff off you?
He hasn't been writing too much recently, but we're gonna change that. I keep telling him we're gonna do a duo project. We're gonna just fast punk rock from the South to the both of us. So
below our little northeastern minds.
I'm gonna force him to reach down deep, and write some tunes for us.
Well, if you live in Winooski, you've only been here a year, but you must have heard about Waking Windows at this point.
I have, and I'm very excited to see Waking Windows happen.
It is the first date in the calendar for summer. You know what I mean? It's like that's when you know it's not really arrived. It happens like around this time, and you can see outside it's still pretty cold.
Yeah.
But it's like the first date, and being in Winooski and being a musician, this is the sort of thing that you need to be there.
I was just talking to Bob. I'm so excited to, I want to see posters with multiple bands on the bill again, like that's what I'm most excited about. Just walking around and getting to see a poster and being like, sick, 5 bands on a bill. I'll be there.
That's an evening. I got really excited. Like 2 days ago, I was cycling down Pine Street and I saw some posters up for a Prince night at Nectar's, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
I like Prince. Prince is fine. I'm not like some people love Prince. You know what I mean? Some people like love Prince. I'm not on that level. But I'm like, I was more excited about the fact that there is just any night billing itself anywhere right now. I'm like,
oh yeah. Y'all got a lot of dead nights up here, though.
Pardon?
Dead Nights.
Tell me about it.
Every single day, I feel like Facebook's like, hey, this is an event you might be interested in. And it's Dead Night.
Would you like to?
I can only listen to the Dead so many times out of the week.
Well, then you're in the wrong state.
Yeah.
No, I have a deep hatred for jam bands, which makes certain nights out in Vermont, or at least in Burlington, excruciating sometimes. But you take the good with the bad of this place. You get the mountains and other great musicians. I'll have to put up with Fish and the Dead sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Well, I think we can try and squeeze in 4 songs tonight because, as I said, I really liked your EP, what I was listening to earlier, so I'm going to try and get as much of that of you as possible.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Let me, what could I do that's from the EP that would sound good?
I mean, I'm also happy just you playing whatever's you want to play, to be honest.
Yeah, let me... Here's one from the EP. This is the one, the last part of it was influenced by the Gilmore Girls. That old mountain tomahawk is lying in a grave somewhere deep inside the dirt. There are people all around, blurring backgrounds look like drapes in a painting I saw once back in Florida, but you never cared much for the arts. But you never cared much for the arts. Tomahawk is standing to this day on some forgotten southern shore. While this family stands around clanking crystal with their hands, old tomahawk hanging on their eastern wall, but you never cared much for the arts. But you never cared much for the arts. But you never cared much for the arts. But you never cared much for the arts, or for the arts. And that's it.
Nice, Dogface there. And what was the track of that song?
That one's Tomahawk.
Just Tomahawk.
Just Tomahawk.
Is that the one about Gilmore Girls?
Yeah, vaguely based on them. Yeah, there was. If you watch the Gilmore Girls, there's tons of parties with people standing around talking about art, and so I wrote a song about this picture that I saw, and I thought it would fit well in the Gilmore Girl universe.
Very tenuous link to the Gilmore Girls, but I can see. I guess I can't see where the inspiration is from because I've never seen the Gilmore Girls, but
it's you're fine without it.
I'm not missing out on a hidden gem.
No.
So we were talking a little bit about being excited about venues opening up again, and there being more than one person on a bill, and it maybe potentially being inside sometimes. So what plans do you have to kind of start getting out there and getting Dogface into the wider
I've
Vermont
really been
sphere?
thinking that I'm gonna wait until there are, like the 3 band bills or the house show bills, or
Hmm.
like find those little spots to, cause I like the whole dinner crowd playing for 3 hours type gigs, but like I just I can't do that with 2-minute punk songs. Like I can't, I can't make that work. So I feel like I'm gonna wait until that moment. I still got to get the whole band together.
Right.
I got a few people who have said they're gonna play, but I still got to fill it all out. So it's a work in progress still.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about that process a little bit about how how does one get a band together when you were new to an area?
Yeah, when I'm brand new. I'm relying on all of my other bands currently and just stealing members from them. Like Danny and the Parts, I'm hoping I talked Danny into drumming. Luke says he's gonna rip it on guitar for me. I got my roommate, got John. But then as far as, like I want horns, I want all types of stuff, so I'm part of a jazz quartet, and I'm starting to, there's a few jam sessions I've been to, and I've met a few cats around the area that I feel like I can snag into the band. But as far as like the actual process of finding people, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I've just been as soon as I find someone that I gel with, I'm like, I'll hit you up. Give me your number. I'm gonna text you.
You lasso them.
Yeah.
Don't let them go.
Exactly.
Have you written the parts, or you do have an idea of the parts of the things you haven't been playing, like drums, horns, that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing?
yeah. For the most part, I have a vague idea of everything. Like when we were recording over at Luke's place just across the hall, um, I had never played drums to any of this music. It'd just been me
Hmm.
sitting and playing guitar and telling John to play a part, and then me playing a part over it and being like, "Yep, that'll work." But I never played drums, so I had to figure that out just on the spot. We got done with the song, and I was like, "Okay, I know how the song kind of goes. I'm gonna record some drums to it," and it worked out well. But yeah, I have vague ideas of what I want to hear, but I leave it up to other musicians
Hmm.
mostly. Like when we're jamming, if you hear something, go ahead and fill it out. Do your thing.
Yeah. So you're just saying that you're part of the jazz quartet.
Yep.
So on the one hand, punk,
Mm-hmm.
and on the other hand, jazz quartets. How does that? What's it like having your foot in those two very different kind of musical cultures?
I love it. I think it's great. When I was down in Mississippi, that's what I was down there for. I was School of Music and doing jazz studies. Um, but Hattiesburg, Mississippi is like this little punk rock safe haven.
Mm.
I mean, bands would constantly come through, house shows every single night. If you wanted to live at a punk house, you just stayed at the shows and asked for donations every night, and eventually they were like, "Yeah, you can sleep on the couch. That's fine. Stay as long as you want." Um, but I think those are my two big loves: rock and roll, punk, rock and roll type stuff, and jazz. Those are my worlds. I love both of those the most.
Do you turn up to them very differently, or is it kind of is what we're seeing tonight the punk version of you, or uh, do you
Oh
have a
no,
jazz version, or is
it's
it?
the same version.
Yeah.
Every single night. Yeah, I approach music pretty much the same, regardless of what I'm playing, because it's just all about the attitude.
Hmm.
If we're playing, all of me, all of me, why not take all of me? But there's an attitude behind it, and you
Hmm.
approach it with that attitude. If I'm sitting over here, there's an attitude behind that too. So like, it's always me.
Yeah.
But just turn the dial. Where are you gonna be on attitude spectrum?
I see. Yeah. So, how much of that the jazz do you bring into the punk, and how much the punk do you bring into the jazz? Then I guess as well.
I feel like I bring more punk into jazz than I do the other way.
Okay.
Because jazz is just so broad. you know, you can get real spacey with it and real heavy. That was my least favorite thing, you know. You play a jazz show and like everybody's real polite, and after every solo, and they yeah, congratulations on your solo. Like, no, I want people to be just as rambunctious at the jazz shows as they are at the rock and roll shows, you know, hooping and hollering and
Right.
yeah, you know, like. So.
I'm just thinking of it bringing to mind like Charles Bukowski.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how he's a poet, and
Yep.
you imagine at the poetry readings, everyone's very polite and do the golf claps afterwards. But you imagine going to a Charles Bukowski poetry reading and got people throwing cans of beer at the stage and spitting at people.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. That's what I want to see at jazz shows. Throw cans of beer.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see punk jazz. Yeah, that would definitely make for a great evening.
And there are good artists out there doing that, but I don't know. I can't make it work for me for some reason, because there's like, I don't know, Uranium Club from Minneapolis, and they do some like real jazzy, freaky stuff in their music, but they're still just real heavy hitters, you know. And I've never made that. I haven't made that connection yet. We'll see. We'll see here in the coming up year. Maybe it happens.
Maybe you make Burlington that kind of jazz city. You won't, because we're way too up ourselves and northeastern. But I mean, I'd love to see you try.
I'm gonna try so hard.
Well, we got about time for one more song. So, What have you got to play us out with?
I'm gonna play y'all an old one that I'm thinking about revitalizing and bringing to Dogface. So, I don't even remember what this one was called. I think we called it First Song. Tops of mountains, we'll drag all our belongings and set them all on fire. What a beautiful metaphor for nothing. We'll scream love into our sunshine until both our lungs collapse from the deep heavenly gas that we've both been admitting these past 10 years. And you know, lately I've been thinking about the ways that I've been thinking about my life a lot, and how eventually the expansion of the sun will eat up this tiny organic rock. No more buildings will be standing, all our names will just be another brick falling. And eventually our stomach linings are just growing plants for future generations to feed on, for us to do the same things all again. So let's take it all for granted, everything's so romantic and utterly fantastic. I just can't begin to explain the ways that the words they're using scare me. They're talking about college, or buying a house, or moving out, or something like that. And maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but my friends, you know I'm trying to wake up in the morning without feeling like my only purpose is dying. 'Cause I know someday soon I'll wake up happy, I'll be smiling, I'll be free. But until that day, I'll keep breathing in the nicotine and THC and everything that I need to be. So this is goodbye to every fond memory, and a reminder of a better me, and a reminder of a better me. So this is goodbye to every fond memory, and a reminder of a better me, and those reminders of a better me.
Dogface, they're playing us out with first song. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Oh, this is fantastic. I love that last song. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try and find that now.
It's it lives on YouTube maybe. If you find it, you're gonna have to type in Pensacola. First song Pensacola. Sluggos maybe will help you, but I'm not sure if it will.
Oh, well, might just be lost to time. Might just have to listen to this back when Bob puts the podcast up.
Exactly.
It's been really great. I wish you all the best putting your band together.
Thank you.
If
anybody wants to be in a band.
Pardon?
If anybody wants to be in a band, hit up Dogface. I'm looking for every single instrument. So
huge orchestra. Huge orchestra.
Massive.
Well, that is all we've got time for this evening. This has been 105.9 The Radiator, The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor. Oh, before I go, next week we've got BE playing, so tune in for that. But yeah, good night.